Hey, I want to welcome you to the first episode of the Master Craftsman Brotherhood podcast. We're men of faith, and this is a place where we can come together. Number one, as men of faith, but also men that are skilled in our craft. And what I want to bring together in this podcast is how we are skilled with our craft, how we start with a raw material, with an idea that usually just that starts in our head, or we see a picture, we see a design, and we can take that design that we see and we can go out into the shop and craft something totally unique. Many people in the craft, when we get started, we copy other people. We copy other people until we feel that we're skilled craftsmen. But I want to tell you that the skill that you possess, you're already that person. You're already that person that you intend to be. It's already there. The craft is already there. The skill is already there. You just have to become proficient in that. And have you ever asked yourself the question, why do certain things like this in my craft come easy to me? I never went to school for it. Things kind of come easy because God, our Heavenly Father, gave us gifts. Each one of us has gifts that comes naturally to us. And so I want to, we're going to talk about that in every episode. And our episodes are going to come out on Mondays. Monday mornings is when I will launch a new episode each and every week. We may even do some extra shows along the way and just record impromptu recordings here on our podcast channel. And you may see this in our social media channels also. But I want to let you know a little bit how this whole idea got started. And this whole idea got started because I am a woodworker, and I've been in a skilled trades for a long time. I've been a mechanic. I've done a little bit of everything, but when I owned an engraving shop. I did woodworking there. I made plaques, awards, and we engraved on metal, sheet metal, steel, aluminum, brass, all kinds of things. And when we went into laser engraving, we went into a bunch of other things. We're going back into, the late 1980s. And so that really, I kind of honed my skill as far as the creativity, things like that. Um, and then life takes us different directions. And I then possessed a whole bunch of other skills in this process. And I found my way back into the woodworking, this time, really get into um, taking the actual tree and milling it down and using live edge and everything. But one of the things I struggled with was making money with that, making money to the point where, you know, you can pay the bills. Um, Made money to support the habit, buy tools, got a wood shop full of thousands of dollars worth of tools. But but the thing about it is, you know, so many people just like myself, started off as a hobby in the garage, in their basement, in a shed with just maybe a circular saw, a jigsaw, a plane, and hammer, nails, and a drill. That probably was a cord, and all these tools were corded. Now, we have the Milwaukee platforms, we got Ryobi platforms, we've got, you you know, um, you name it. There's a platform for every tool going, and we can spend a lot of money for those. Um, but I don't really want to spend a lot of my time talking about, those things because there are a ton of other podcasts. There's a ton of other shows out there that will go over all the tools. I'm not going to get into these discussions. I'm not going to be part of the noise, and um, I'm going to leave that up to you as a skilled craftsman in your craft to be able to find your way through that maze. But here's what I want to throw out to you. And because you know, I am a man of faith. So let me go take you back when how this whole process got started. About 3 years ago, um, it will be 3 years come in September, October. And I started asking questions to God. I wanted to bring God into my business. We were selling nautical theme items on Amazon, boxing them up, shipping stuff out every day to Amazon. Amazon then would ship it out as people ordered it. We were doing really well with that, all the way up through till the end of, through Christmas. But I was bored. There was really no creativity in any of that. There was something that was feeling really shallow, really hollow in my craftsmanship, in what I was doing. I enjoyed working in the shop, but I enjoyed creating. I enjoyed starting from scratch, and I was looking to bring God into my business. So what do you do? You know, um, and God taught me something. He did come into my life, but it wasn't until after I had an accident in my shop. I had an accident in my shop where I was using a router. I was making a dog bone, okay, to put some hooks on it to make, kind of hang leashes and things like that. So we was making a dog bone. Well, I clamped all that. I cut out a template and got that all cleaned up. And then I then traced that template onto a piece of pine, actually a piece of pine at the time. And and so, and it attached those there, and I just had that little bit around the edge that I had to trim off. So I took my router with a flush trim bit, and not knowing 100% of what I was doing because it's the first time I had done something of that nature, I made a simple mistake. Simple mistake that I see YouTube videos all the time, and so many guys are just plain lucky that they don't get hurt. Well, I had a half-inch trim router bit and it got caught. It got caught and it threw the piece, it threw the tool, everything came apart, and I moved to get out of the way. When I moved to get out of the way, it flew through the air, and when it did, it hit my left hand. And my left hand, let's see, I don't know if you can see that, but the scar right there, that scar, it it drilled right into my wrist. It actually came out, hopped over the tendon that went to my thumb, and then drilled right into the bone, right up to the knuckle of my index finger. And so nicked an artery. I'm on blood thinner, so blood's flying all over the place. But anyways, to make a long story short, what had transpired after that, after having all that bandaged up, and of course, I'm out of commission. I'm out of commission for 6 to 8 weeks. Can't make any money. Can't work in the shop. And my wife actually, I helped her to work through a couple orders custom orders that she was able to finish up with the CNC router that we had. And that's a computerized router. So it's Shaper Origin if you're not familiar with that. So she finished up a few of those orders and got those out the door. Um, but a few weeks after that accident, we was at a funeral and for my son and daughter-in-law's father. And a lady walked up to me and she asked me a simple question. What's God saying to you? I had no clue. I told her, I says, I have no idea. I'm sure he's yelling at me. I'm sure he's saying something to me. Well, that started me asking the question. Started asking the question, God, what are you saying to me? You know, am I supposed to even be doing this type of work? You know, I had a lot of questions, but I felt empty in the work. And I will let you know that God showed up in a big way. And over that period of time, you know, which I'll be sharing with you through this podcast, several details of this, but and sprinkled in amongst our conversation here together. But I would welcome your feedback if you had an accident with your tools and and you question things. Love to hear from you. Love to hear from you. And if that would be something you'd be open to, depending on your walk with your faith and where you are there, would love to have you on as a guest of the podcast. But I went on to write a book. I went on to write a book called The Master Craftsman's Design. It's actually an invitation to unveiling an intimate love story with your Heavenly Father. And it's full of all kinds of things for about 30 years of my life that, like I said, we don't have enough time to go through all that. But God has put me on this completely different mission to for men, to speak to men primarily, and men that are typically 50 years and older. Um, the other part is men that also feel alienated from the church. They don't fit in. They may have some faith, but they have zero relationship with God. One of the things is there's a movement in the world today, a huge movement in the business world, in the business community with God. God coming into your business, into your life. And there's four core areas that I focus on each and every day. Number one is my body. God opened up and showed me my body. I ignored it. For years, I ignored it. I mean, the whole idea of the router hitting my hand. See, there's some health things going on with me. I'm on blood thinners, hit an artery. The blood's coming out like water. Um, and then, and the reason why I'm on blood thinners is because I'm prone to DVTs. I have a blood disorder called factor five, and so I'm prone to these kinds of problems. But then I have a stent. I have a heart condition. I'm also a diabetic because I ignored my body for way, way too long. And so God's opened my eyes to say, man, you got to get control of your body. You got to get control of your body. So when accidents, when things happen, you have the strength to fight back because we are at war. Whether or not you believe it or not, as a man in your craft, your skill, you are at flipping war. And it's not a war in the flesh where we're, you know, getting in that fight, but it's a spiritual war. And it's a spiritual war that's working against you in your business. You know, there's a way that you can have a completely blue ocean in your craft because he will give it to you. He'll set you up and give you and show you and give you everything you need. He'll give you the inspiration. He'll give you the ideas. He'll show you how. He'll bring people together in your life. If you need money, trust me, he will bring money into your life in ways that you will never, never, ever think would be possible. Why I say this? Because it's happened. March of last year, $60,000 came into our life. That it didn't even, I mean, it was there, but I had no idea it was sitting there. Well, that turned around and set us on a whole new trajectory as far as our woodworking business. Gave us an inspiration for a product, whole product line, took down everything, got rid of all the nautical stuff, all the stuff that everybody else is doing that's a commodity. And we came up with something that was, I won't go as far as saying it's uniquely ours, but we came up with something that we put our own twist to it, which was very different than what anybody else was doing. And, you know, as you can see on the cover of the book, they're crosses with a wood epoxy. We use live edge walnut, live edge oak. We use those two woods primarily. We source that lumber locally. Some of that came from our own land, and then some comes from Amish sawmills just north of us. And so we were able to do all this and bring this all together. But the other part is, before I leave you here on this episode, is there is a huge epidemic, an epidemic amongst us men. And this is why we're at war. We are at war in our own bodies. Because if we don't take care of these things, just like our tools in our shop, we have to take care of our tools. We have to take care of the wood and lumber. You know, when we cut it, we get down to the raw material. When we finish that up, we have to oil it and we have to take care of it. And we, you know, everything so it can have longevity. It'll last. Our bodies and our lives are the exact same thing. We have to take care of those things. And so we have to feed that. And we feed our bodies with so much junk. So much junk, it's not healthy. Yeah, we go out, we may have a job, and then we go out to the shop and work another 3, 4, 5 hours. So combined, we're doing 12 hours a day. But in the middle of all that, we eat junk. We grab something fast food this, leftovers, junk food, pizza. And then we wonder when our lives kind of slow down a little bit as we get a little older, then all of a sudden we have health problems. None of that makes any difference if you get sick and you die. Because about 6 years ago, my family doctor told me if I didn't make changes in my life, I would not see 65. I'm I'm 63. I'm in the best health that I've ever been. Just had another stress test. I have stents, clean bill of health, according to my doctor. Okay. I'm a diabetic. My blood sugar has come down and it's starting to get under control. I began to cut back on my medication, my metformin. I take less insulin. Eventually, my goal is next year to be off all those medications because all those medications, those drugs that you take to get through the day, cause so many other problems. I have a I have a thyroid problem. I have a testosterone problem. All my hormones are all shot to shit, and they're you know, need I say more? And but I did these things to myself. You know, I want to share something with you here because in Genesis, God actually tells us real simple. Because in Genesis 1:29 and 30, God tells us about plants and herbs. I'm not saying you have to go out and become a vegetarian or anything like that, but he tells us, God, this is what it says. Then God said, I give you every seed bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food, and to all the beasts of the earth, and birds in the sky, and all creatures that move along the ground. Everything that has the breath of life in it, I give every green plant for food. And it was so. Key thing, he's talking about seed bearing food. So that gives us a clue what we're supposed to eat. But then he goes on in Genesis 9:3, after the flood. So this would have been after the flood, after Noah, okay? Because, the flood, it wiped out all the plants, okay? But God said in Genesis 9:3, he then turned around, after the flood, it's about eating meat. It says, everything that lives and moves about will be food for you. Just as I gave you the green plants, I now give you everything else. The key here is it's not processed. It's the most freshest food you need to find that comes from the earth. It's not a magic pill. It's not drugs. It's not, everything has to be natural. Has to be natural, straight from the earth. You know, the closest that you can get to that item to your kitchen table without it being processed and preserved and everything. Yeah, does it cost more? Hell yeah, it costs more. But I'll tell you what, we eat way too much food. If you start figuring out how much food you really need, it doesn't really cost more because you buy it. Plus, it lasts longer because it's not doesn't have all those chemicals, doesn't have all that crap they put in it. But anyways, I go on and on and on. So, with that being said, I do have my book. I go into detail about everything that God did for us in our woodworking business, everything that He's doing up to this point. And it's the Master Craftsman. And I want you to claim a title that you are a Master Craftsman. I am a Master Craftsman. Not only a Master Craftsman in my craft that I do, but I am also the Master Craftsman of my life. And He is the ultimate Master Craftsman. So I want you to think about that. Stew on that for about a week, okay? And get back to me. I'm extremely passionate, and when I go around and I see men, I mean, I'm not I'm not any Adonis guy, okay? But I've lost 30 pounds, 30 pounds in the last 6 to 8 weeks, and I got more to go. But I've been on this journey for quite some time, but God's been talking to me about my diet for about a year. I go a little bit here, a little bit there. But I have complete buy-in. Let me share one other thing with you, and this was from a Bible, um, my Bible study this morning. I read 2 Corinthians 6, chapter 6, verse 17, 18. Do not be yoked. Oh, I'm sorry. No, this is not the right one. Nope. Here we go. I did a prayer, and this really is a prayer about the spirit and the original story. But I talk about my body. My body is God's temple. And from there, as I read 2 Corinthians chapter 6, go back to that, but this time it's verse 14 through 18. I hear God reminded me that my body is not just my own. It's his temple, and the scripture calls me to recognize that my relationship with God is a profound spiritual union where he walks with me and I walk with him. The way I treat my body, my thoughts, and my actions must reflect the reality because the body houses the spirit. In this moment, I see that God is asking me to reflect on how I treat his temple, just like we treat our wood, how we treat our craft, how we treat our tools. I mean, we don't abuse our tools, do we? And because those tools take care of us. Those tools build nice things. Those tools can craft with under the skilled hand. Those tools can craft something amazing. Under the skilled hands of our master craftsman, he can craft something in our life, in our body, that is just completely amazing. And the other thing that I want to leave you with here is when I look at this here, is my lesson from this, which really I'm taking from this Bible study, is that my body is a sacred temple that belongs to God, and caring for it is an act of worship and stewardship. By aligning my actions, what I eat, how I rest, and even my thoughts with God's will, I am honoring him in a tangible way. And this prayer stack that I'm talking about here reminds me that my health and well-being are not separate from my spiritual life. They are intertwined. So we're intertwined there. We're also intertwined in our spiritual life. So we have to feed and take care of our body every day. We have to feed and take care of our spiritual life every day. And then we can't forget our wife and our children. We have to take care of our relationships. I refer to that as balance. You have to have balance in your relationships. And then the thing is then you've got your business, your work, your money. These four areas of your life equate to your craft. Because if any one of these areas is off, it hurts your craft. Just like your tools. If any one of your tools are not working properly, it hurts your craft. Just wanted you to think about that. So with that being said, we're going to end this episode here, and I really appreciate you taking the time to listen if you stayed all the way through. But you know, like I said, every podcast will be out on Mondays each week, every Monday. And but the reason why I call this the Master Craftsman Brotherhood is we are a brotherhood, and we're a brotherhood in our craft, and we can work together there. But we're also a brotherhood under God, and because we are his children. And the thing about it is I just want to say, and when we look at being brotherhood in our craft, I also want you to take a look at being the brotherhood of your health. I want you to take control of your health, number one. And then if you have problems in other areas of your life, God can take care of that too. And he'll take care of that business. And the thing about it is you may turn your business around. It won't look like what you think it'll look like. Trust me. Trust me, trust me, trust me. So with that being said, you guys are awesome. And I just want to tell you that I am blessed for you just listening to my podcast. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next week.